never dig deep if it's a good idea or not.
Right.
Everyone's threatened because it's different than the way they've thought.
Right, exactly. They're afraid of change.
Yes.
But if we don't change and we don't evolve, we'll never get anywhere.
I don't know. Star Wars? I love Star Wars.
I love Star
Avatar?
Wars.
Did you like Avatar?
I did.
Not a ton.
Not as much as I love Star Wars, though.
Really?
I mean, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so
me too.
You know.
We must be around the same age. You just do it so much better.
Oh my gosh.
I got these bags and all these hours. I'm gonna blame on all the hours I work.
I drink really good bourbon, so I look really young.
Here we go. Boy, I tell you what, she knows how to sell something. So, the wonderful, amazing Molly Wellmann. Like, I think that might be, everybody has their Wikipedia, and yours is probably pretty special. I bet yours is like, I don't know. It's probably like a term. And if Webster still put out a dictionary, I bet it's not even Molly Wellmann. You know how some people are, if you would say, like, if you would say Barack, who would people think we're talking about?
Well, President Barack.
Okay.
Yeah.
If someone
Obama.
if someone would say Hillary,
Yeah, Clinton.
right?
Yeah.
So I think it's Molly.
I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely, she'll take it. So of all the amazing things, if people dig into it, I mean, you have so many followers on social media. I'm not a follower person, numbers, but you have a ton of people that you're engaged with. But of all the amazing things, the New York Times stuff, the Cincinnati Enquirer, the 3 times Mixologist of the Year for Cincinnati, all the awards. I could not talk long enough to give you a great intro. So, of all the things that you're known by, the awards, what you're called, how you're known, what's your favorite?
Oh, wow. Nobody's ever asked that before. That's a hard question.
We can come back to it if you want.
Yeah, let's do. I know I have an answer for that because it's just being me, honestly. It's just being Molly. It's just being sometimes I'm amazed by myself, to tell you the truth.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Because I think most people would say, you know how we throw out these adjectives way too often, like amazing and awesome, incredible. I do way too often. But you pretty much are amazing.
Oh, thank you. That's really sweet.
So, if you like that the most, what is it?
Honestly, I like being myself. I've always been myself. And even like from I think the minute I was born, I was myself. And I was always given the freedom to be exactly who I wanted to be. Color my hair, dress the way I always wanted to. I've always been very artistic and very, very free.
That's special.
Yeah.
Because I think there's so many people that aren't comfortable being that.
No, I always say you cannot fail at being yourself.
Why do you say that?
Because I think more people need to let their freak flag fly.
Yeah.
I really think that more people should show who they are because that's what makes the world special. Anybody trying to copy off somebody else will fail every time. They will. So you need to be yourself. You need to know who you are. You need to let that shine. You need to put it out in the world. And I'm telling you, you will succeed every time. You will, you'll just give so much character to the world. And it's so cool.
Yeah.
You're magical.
So who let you be? You said you were always able to be yourself. Who let you be that?
My mom and dad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's talk. Can we talk about them?
Yeah. I love
So what
my
about
mom and
them?
dad.
So there had to be something special about them because I think way too often parents don't let their kids be. And I don't think it's from a bad place.
No, I don't
They
think
just
it's from a
don't
bad
know.
place. Right,
And they're
exactly.
protective and want them to be safe and you don't want them to be judged by the world. So let's talk about Mr. and Mrs. Wellmann.
Mr. and Mrs. Well, they're still together.
Okay.
Over 50 years.
Wow.
I know. They've all, I'm the oldest of, I have 2 sisters.
Okay.
And I have 20 cousins, and I'm the oldest of all of them too. So, yeah.
Okay.
We're Irish Catholic,
Okay.
German Catholic, so,
Okay.
you know.
I can't wait to hear how you've affected them. This is going to be special. Huh?
They are all really cool, too.
Okay.
But, you know, I grew up on the west side. My whole
Cincinnati.
family's from the west side. So there's no way you could be pretentious and be taken seriously if you're from the west side. I've always held that in my heart.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people, you know, they do their own thing. They do the same thing. You know, they grow up on the west side. They move down the street from their parents where they grew up, and then they start their families. And it's kind of like that, you know. And I think it's really cool. I find that really endearing. I did not do that. I got out. But I still hold the west side very close to my heart. But when I was growing up, my mom and dad, you know, I think they were kind of just amazed. I don't know. Maybe they were amazed. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they were like, we just need this child to shut up. I don't know.
Did you always have a big personality?
I think so. I think there were times when I was shy, like most kids. But I always was singing and dancing and dressing up and making art and writing stories. Like, you know, I was always doing that.
So why were you so
Always.
comfortable being that? Because if I look at this world through, we all kind of look at the world through our eyes, right? And how we've seen things and our experiences. But how are you so comfortable? Because, man, if there's one thing that so I don't have any kids, but nieces and nephews and so many of our people at the company do. And if there's one thing that if I could do for kids, if I just had like a magic wand, I would take away this insecurity piece from them.
Heck yeah, me too.
And just give them confidence.
That's exactly what I would do. I think, you know, growing up, I was insecure, of course, like everybody, you know. I still have some insecurities like everybody else, you know. But I think as I've gotten older and more comfortable with myself and knowing and also having this realization, it doesn't happen, it's not all the time, but it's the majority of the time, always knowing that I'm putting something out in the world that's me and it's magical, you know. And,
special almost came out. Yeah.
I think people need to know they're very special, you know. Think of like people I love history, right? I always go back to it. Think about like if Albert Einstein, for instance.
Speaking of my heart, I love some history, yes.
I think
Albert.
he's so cool. So Albert Einstein, what if he didn't, he was insecure and didn't put out, you know, all the things, his brilliant mind, you know?
Yeah.
What if he didn't do that?
Think about all the people that could have that didn't.
Right, exactly.
Right.
What if, I don't know, a fashion designer.
You're going to be better with that, but yeah, who? Yeah.
Vivienne Westwood.
Yep.
What if Vivienne Westwood wouldn't have put out her amazing, you know, fashions and stuff?
Yeah.
You know,
if
like,
some of the painters wouldn't have painted their paintings,
Right.
right? If like Andy Warhol wouldn't have done all these people.
Right.
Right.
They put their heart and soul, they put themselves into these masterpieces that we find to be so inspirational and so important to our world, right? So every single one of us can do that. And I just think that's just so cool. We are magic.
So what's your masterpiece? What's Molly Wellman's masterpiece?
I don't know yet. I don't think I've got it yet. I mean, I think I've done so many things so far. I'll be 48 this year.
Congrats.
40,
You look amazing
great.
for 48.
I drink really good bourbon.
Okay, we're going to get to this bourbon thing. Like, that's the second time. I know we have a nice display here and stuff, and we have our single barrel we just got. But, so for 48, I mean, really.
Yeah.
You look, you do. You look, you know how a lot of people say we do, and they really don't mean it.
I know.
But you really do at 48.
Thank you.
Yep, so whatever it is, there's something, whether it's spirit, whether it's genes, whether it's taking care of yourself. Because in the business you're in, you don't work the easiest hours.
No, but I've been doing it a long time.
So you know how to adjust and how to get your rest and all that.
Exactly.
So your masterpiece. So you have many? You haven't
I
the
don't
masterpiece.
know. I think every day is a masterpiece, honestly. Even if you sleep on the couch all day, you got through that day.
How'd you develop this mindset?
I don't know. I think no. You know, I think when you go through life and things happen, things kind of are shown to you in the ways that you don't expect. So it could come through tragedy. It could come through just wonderful things. I don't know. I think about 2001 is when I started to realize this whole mindset of like, I have nothing to lose. Let's put it out there. Let's go. So
it's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's weird. 2001. I mean, it was historically in this country that was a wild time. But so that's funny that usually through adversity, those things show up.
Right.
And if you're fortunate enough to have the mind and the perspective and the mindset to take it and nurture it and do something good with it, we're really fortunate, right?
Yeah.
And but you see some people go the other way, and you know you have empathy's the wrong word because if you haven't gone through it, can't. But you have sympathy for them,
right?
You know, because all it is a perspective and a mindset.
It's all perspective. It's all mindset,
isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. There's there are so many people I see, but the thing about it is you can't hold somebody's hand. They have to figure it out for themselves.
So how do we? I mean, you run multiple businesses.
Well, now I only own one, and I'm very happy with that. I sold to my partners about, I think it's 3 years now. I mean, 2020 was kind of just a whatever.
Yeah, right, crazy.
Yeah.
So what was it, like neons and stuff downtown?
Yeah, I had neons, I had Japs, which I still have Japs.
Yep.
Old Kentucky Bourbon Bar. I really miss that one. Okay. Still a great place, still great people who work there. They know their stuff, so please go there. It's awesome. I had Myrtle's Punch House. I had the Hearth Room. I had the Annex. I had Melt. And then I had Melt Cafe, which that was kind of the downfall where I was like, something's not right. Anyway, and then now I just have Japs.
Japs.
Yeah,
so
which I love.
I was listening last night. You know, there's all these people like Gary Vaynerchuk. Everybody hears about him, but I love a lot of stuff he says. He's kind of hardcore for some people, but he was talking to Ryan Serhant, one of the big real estate people last night. Might have been from January, and what he said was his 2020 was a moment to step back to gain better perspective that was necessary, he found, to then move forward.
Right.
And maybe he realized it in 2020. Maybe it was a couple times before. It's like, how can we take the lessons of 2020 and apply them in 21? Sometimes, and for business people who are always moving forward like you, initially it doesn't feel comfortable, I bet.
Oh, it was awful.
Right. So how do you get through that? I mean,
I think we were forced to step back, really. But, I think I did learn a lot. I tried. It was really hard. It was probably one of the hardest things mentally to like sit there and do nothing and not have any control over anything.
Isn't that the worst thing as an entrepreneur business owner?
Yeah.
That's the worst thing.
When my whole thing is creating experience, through drinks and, through the bar and everything. And not being able to do that. And then even coming back and having it completely change from, with all the restrictions and everything, it was really hard to figure out how am I going to create this atmosphere when the whole industry is based on bringing people together, and having a drink and everything. So it was very challenging. It was really, that was challenging, not just
financially,
yeah, but mentally. I've never struggled so much mentally through this past year.
Yeah.
And I've had to figure out things, even making the tough call. It changed me as a person. There's sometimes where I'd be like, oh my God, I'm being such a bitch to people. I wish I didn't feel, maybe I wasn't, but I felt like I was. I felt like I'm being so harsh.
Give me some examples.
Well, policing people when they have to, when we first opened back up, policing people, put the freaking mask on. Yep. You have to sit down. It's different than it was. You have to order from this app, things like that.
It doesn't feel natural, does it? Because you're like, this is creating a divide.
Right.
And exactly. Controversy, and that's not what this is.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And trying to find a way to connect with the customer through that?
It's very difficult. The biggest thing, the one thing that really made me nuts, I had to go find professional help.
Hey, listen, that you're sitting here through this, listen, kudos.
Thank you. I believe me. People should find professional help for their just like you go to a physical doctor. Go get one for your mind. Did
it really help? Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Hands down, the best.
So I interrupted you,
but
no,
it's okay.
You said the toughest thing.
So the toughest thing was, I felt like, and I'm very grateful to our media and everything, but every single week I had the media coming and asking, how does it feel to be an entrepreneur during this, the COVID times? And every week, I'd be like, well, I'd nicely say, well, it's challenging and da 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 da. And then it got to the point where I was like, this really sucks, you know? And then it was bringing me down so much mentally.
Having to talk about it all the time.
Yeah, that, but also every single person who would come in or any person I would run into, or when I was on a Zoom call, there'd be people who'd be like, how you doing? You okay? And I know they cared, but I just grasping for something positive,
Yep.
and could not find it because everyone was like, are you going to be okay?
And it's like, maybe not.
I know. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Nobody knows, but I'm really sick of talking about it.
Yeah. And so like what you want to say is, and because the media is so good.
I love our media.
Right. I do.
All our radio stations
they're fantastic in the support.
Stations. Yeah.
However, what you want to say is like, listen, this really does suck.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about it.
Right.
I hate talking about it. But let me tell you what being an entrepreneur is.
Yeah.
It's waking up every day and grinding.
Exactly.
And figuring out a way to have this business so we can like change people.
Exactly.
And make a difference, right? And
yeah. And part of, being an entrepreneur, you are, just like putting yourself into the world. When you build a business, you're also putting a business and creating part of the community.
Yeah.
You are a big part of the community. So people look at you for guidance in how does the community feel, So
really shitty sometimes.
yeah, sometimes it is.
Right.
So I was so sick of putting that, oh, woe is me energy out into the world.
Yeah.
I want to put more positive things
100%.
out in the world,
Yeah.
as somebody who's a part of the community, a business that's part of the community, a person.
And listen, and that
Yeah.
has, a reputation, that has culture built around you. I mean, so it's like your voice matters whether you want it to or not.
Right.
Your voice matters.
Yeah.
And so I think it was challenging. It wasn't. We were fortunate in our business
Oh yeah.
that I mean, it just wasn't fair. Like I just,
I know.
So, I started this company 4 months before the housing bubble in 2008. So I went through it then.
Yeah.
So it was a struggle for 2 or 3 years. So I felt it then, but still now it felt so unfair.
Right.
Like number one, when we were called essential.
I mean, people need to know. People need a place to live.
But you know what? Some people need a drink sometimes too, right? I mean, they need Molly to mix them something up.
I felt essential. I did. It's cool.
Yeah, and I heard that the first time it felt really good. Like it's like, oh, we made it through, so we're essential. But then I think it was a couple days later, I went, wait a minute. The rest of my entire family fits into the categories for their jobs of not essential.
Isn't that weird?
Weird. We've never thought of ourselves that way. But we were very fortunate. But the weird thing is that we still had to do business totally different.
Right.
And I think I'm right there with you. Like you were dealing, I can't even imagine what you had to deal with. I just can't because I didn't have to wake up and worry about the money.
Right. Yeah.
I
mean, thank God there were, the community did come out.
Yeah.
There was a lot of support. As much as people who could,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there were grants that came up for, our hospitality industry and everything. So those helped a lot. But yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful to all of it. I know some places didn't make it through, but I think if they're true entrepreneurs, they'll come back and they'll come back
better.
Better, exactly.
I agree with you. I think that the heart of an entrepreneur is someone that, like, you have to think that you have something special where you can make a difference or you wouldn't do it.
Right.
Because anybody who really knows what it is, if you're doing it for the money,
oh, no,
it ain't going to work.
No.
It's not going to.
I tell my bartenders all the time, I'm like, I don't want you to come in here thinking, I wonder how much tips I'm going to make.
Yeah.
I want you to come in here thinking, I wonder how you're going to impact somebody,
See?
how you're going to make somebody's day, how you're going to change their day. Because I always say, welcome to the beginning of the end of your night, because you're done with the day. It's time to enjoy the evening. So how are you going to impact that? And believe me, the money will come.
It will.
It will.
So
you don't have to focus on
what
that.
you just said was, like, that's why you guys survived. It is.
Yeah.
Because, so talk to me about culture in a company.
Yeah.
If it matters.
It matters huge. Culture in the company is, it's really important. It's funny. I've opened up quite a few businesses. Some of them are my own, and some of them I was the opening on the opening team of restaurants and bars, both here and in San Francisco. So, it's funny. Every time you open a business, you have this idea of how you want it to be, but you will never know what it will be like until after that first week, and you start to see the customers that are coming in, the people are coming in, and the little things that you have to readjust, you won't know probably until a couple months what that character will be, So you kind of have to go in with an open mind that everything that you've planned before for months and sometimes years while you're planning and opening a business.
And it's going to be so amazing and fantastic, and you have this business plan, just throw it out the window?
Yeah, throw it out the window, because really it's going to be your guests that dictate, and it's going to be the people that you've hired that dictate. And as long as I always hire people who have a great personality and know how to talk to people.
That's the two special things.
That's the two special things. 80% of being a bartender is being able to serve your guest.
Yep.
Learning a cocktail is super easy.
Yep.
I could teach that to anybody, but I can't teach somebody how to smile. I can't teach somebody how to talk to anybody who walks in.
So it's how to talk to somebody, and then what?
The smile.
The
smile is everything.
Yep. Okay.
That welcome, and it's been hard with the man. So I'm like, you have to smile with your eyes.
Yeah, right. Hey, I just said that earlier. Like, I see everybody on Instagram, and Dave I made a comment, and I took my trash out, and I was like, see, the boss even takes the trash out. And I said I was smiling. He's like, I could tell with your eyes you were. So we had this little moment too. It's like after a year.
Right.
So culture evolves.
Yeah. It does.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And it changes. I mean, I've had Japs for 10 years now, and it's changed, and it'll probably change, after when we finally can have the restrictions, fall to the wayside, and it'll change again,
So the 10 years is a long time.
I know.
Can I call it a bar?
Yeah, it's a bar. Yeah.
That's a long time.
I know.
What's the average lifespan of a bar? Do you have any idea? I don't.
Usually, well, there's some bars that have lasted hundreds of years, very few.
Very few.
But different owners, of course, and, whatnot. And they've changed. But
seems like they come and go every 2 or 3 or 4 years.
they do.
Right?
Yeah.
So 10 years.
Yeah.
Why? How have you... Do we need to have a drink? I'm not going to force you to. Are we allowed to have a drink?
Heck yeah, we can have a
So
drink.
you have to... So here's the thing. I'm like...
Are you kidding?
So here's what's wild. This looks like I know what I'm doing. I really don't.
I think you might know.
No, I don't. I don't know. I really don't.
So what's in the horn? The glass horn.
So I'm trying to represent Northern Kentucky and the Norse, right?
Killer.
So it's kind of Viking. I think that is
Kentucky.
It's a Weller, but I don't think it's like these. Here, smell it. Here, let's check it out.
Yeah.
I don't. You'll probably be able to tell. I think it might have been. Which is the Weller with the green label or the red one? Which one's more special?
I think the antique. I like the antique.
This one.
The one that's more special is the one that you like the best.
You're not. Oh, here we go. I don't think you're gonna. I think that's a basic one. It's a green label.
It's definitely a wheated.
Okay. So there's that. So we'll talk.
I couldn't tell you. I mean, seriously, smelling or tasting a whiskey blind is probably the hardest thing that anybody could do.
I'm terrible.
So no, and you're not terrible. Believe me. Oh goodness gracious.
Yeah.
The biggest, the most practiced tasters.
It's tough for them.
Yeah.
So as we talk about having a drink. So listen, we think we're cool.
You are. You got some good stuff here.
So we have the frozen, actually, stone rocks. Is that a special thing or is that terrible?
So I'm not a fan of rocks. I'm a fan of ice. I like what water does.
Okay.
I think water is really important. So I'm not a big fan of this, but for some people, it's great.
Okay, so let's talk about it. So you're so what about neat? What about bourbon neat?
I always taste bourbon neat before I add water or ice to it, unless it's something like I drink all the time and I just know. But
so this is good. So for someone that has all this. So why do you neat? It's just no interruption. You get to taste really what the flavor is.
Well, when I haven't drank any whiskey today, so one, I want to wake my palate up.
So tell us how to do this.
So let's pour a little.
Okay.
Let's
Can you do this for us?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. You want to? Do you want to?
You want to try this one or else? So here's what we have.
I really want to try your barrel pick.
Let's do it. So
let's do that.
Look at this, the engraving.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to be we can open that one, and you get a bottle to take with you too. Yes,
really?
you do. Yes, we just picked them. You know, they gave us 180 bottles. We think we're cool.
You are cool.
But when we
I'm not just saying that because you're giving me a bottle
hey,
of whiskey.
Listen, we know how. So new riff. They're really special to our heart.
They're wonderful.
Right.
Wonderful.
So are these glasses and okay? We have some of the small ones too.
Yeah, that'll work.
What about these? We have little small.
I like the little ones.
Hey, Mike, we have a couple of these in there. I think they're by the little bar. You want to run it? So we always have fun on this podcast.
I love this podcast now. I loved it before, but I love it even more. Hold on, I've got a little knife to open this up.
They can handle us if we're not on the mic completely. They can handle us. Yeah, this is like a wonderful way for me to get a free mixology bourbon.
Anytime.
Understanding this business of things.
Anytime.
Okay, I'm gonna watch how this is done. Look at that. So New Riff. Tell us about New Riff. What you think?
I have everything in my purse to drink with. I have a cup, straw.
Do you like that? That's your identity, or do you wish there was something else to talk about?
You know what? I can talk about whiskey all day long. My favorite thing to talk about is history. I have Cincinnati history.
What about the history of whiskey?
I love talking about that. In fact, I do bourbon tastings all the time.
Yeah.
And when I do bourbon tastings, instead of this is what we're looking for, this is the mash bill, all that, I talk about the history behind the label. When you learn about spirits, you learn about the history of the world, right?
Okay.
When you learn about bourbon, you learn about this area.
Yeah.
And that's really
so that's
special.
really to your heart. Yeah.
I love it so much.
So do you know the history? If we went into spirits, you're probably really well versed on the history of the spirits of the world, aren't you?
The majority of them. There's some that I'm still learning. There's some that I'm still discovering and learning. And
thank you, man.
Those are perfect.
Mike Boyd, our wonderful producer. Thank you. Oh, would you wash them for us?
Are you gonna have a wee nip too?
You gonna have one with us? Get one, man. Come on now.
You can't just sit there and watch it.
This is gonna be amazing. This is gonna be amazing.
Oh, I need to do that. So there's certain rum. Rum is not one of my strong points.
Okay.
I know the basics. I know how it's made. I know the regions and all of that. But I have a guy named Jeremy Harrison at Japs who his passion is rum. So I let him run with that. And he does. I call him the king of Tiki.
So why Tiki? Does that have to do with the rum process? What?
No. Tiki is a style of drinks.
Okay.
And so he's really into that style more than I am. I'm into.
Is that like what you put a
classics.
Tiki umbrella in?
Yeah, from the 30s all the way to the popularity, the golden years of Tiki would have been the 1930s, all the way till about the 1960s, I would say. And so he really loves to make the original ones from the original Tiki restaurants and bars, that were out in California and Hawaii. So he's really, really into that here in the city, and he does a great job with it.
So you weren't into that period as much, or those types?
I appreciate it.
Yes, you do, right?
I got the gist of it, of course, but he's dug real deep.
Are they rum-based, a lot of them?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, with a lot of different rums. They are very strong when they're made properly.
Just for the record, Tiki drinks would be my favorite because
they're so good.
Rum is just, I don't know why, it just treats me the best. Here you go, Mike. I got him here. The whole tequila thing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do me well.
That's the thing too. This is just beautiful.
So what are we supposed to do here?
Okay.
And I'm going to get on Tiki drinks. We're going to get on all the spirit history of the world. But first, a New Riff single barrel.
When we're tasting whiskey, what I usually do, I like to look at the color first.
Okay, tell us
I do this just to practice, really, to know. Kind of get the idea of how if it's old or young, or how old it is, because the color comes from the barrel. Okay. So
tell us everything that's going through your mind as you see this.
It's not too terribly old. I would say maybe 4 or 5 years old, maybe
5.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
And then I always swirl. I don't know. You don't
Why? Because
have
we're
to.
supposed to?
I mean, some guys will look at what's called the legs, the oils and stuff, but I'm not sure. I don't care.
Okay.
All
So
right,
we want an on. Okay, go ahead.
Now we're gonna smell it.
Okay.
All right. And when you smell whiskey, you don't smell it like wine. Okay. You lift the glass up to your nose, and then you inhale through your mouth. That way, you're not gonna burn all the nose hairs off in your nostrils. Okay. And you're really gonna smell kind of like the underneath of the ethanol. Okay. So give it a smell. Ooh, this is nice.
Be honest, is it?
Yeah. That's a good complexity. Some floral notes from the rye. Nice notes from the barrel. Okay, let's taste it. So the first sip is really to wake your palate up. All right, don't really pay attention.
Hey, Mike, sip, she said. We'll be laying on the floor with Molly Wellmann. She'll be up here like, hey, guys, hey, you okay down there? I'm still on the mic. Can we get this thing rolling?
If you guys are on the floor, I'm going to start singing, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Oh, man.
All right, so let's give this a little sip. Cheers, guys. Cheers. So, little burn. I always tell, new whiskey drinkers, I know it's going to be good because I'm salivating.
Is that burn normal?
Yeah. I mean, that's the first sip. That's waking up your palate, getting your taste buds, ready to taste what whiskey's all about. I always tell people who don't drink a lot of whiskey, who are kind of afraid of it sometimes because of the harshness, especially, this is 102.9 proof, something high proof like that. It's going to have some burn. But it's not going to kill you.
Yeah. What would kill us?
Well, I don't think you're not going to have a bourbon that's going to be high enough. It won't.
So to your point, it's really not going to hurt too much. It's like,
it's I mean, the people who are afraid of the burn, it's not going to kill you. It makes you stronger.
Oh, there we go. Mike, on our nights out, the burn makes us stronger.
So now we're going to taste it. We're going to really pay attention to what we're tasting. So I want you to think about all the things that you're familiar with flavor-wise. Okay, so take a sip and then just kind of focus on that. But really, tasting and trying to figure out the flavors of whiskey, it takes practice.
I'm not good at it.
You need to drink more whiskey, so that's the practice.
That's what we're trying to do, Molly. I mean, she's yelling at me, Mike. I got yelled at by you earlier. Now Molly's yelling at me. Can people be nice to me today?
All right. Let's have another sip.
Okay.
Ooh. Very nice. It has that definite essence of New Riff. I love that.
So what is that?
It's, every brand, well, not brand, but I'd say from each distillery, each region, I think has kind of an essence to it,
Yeah.
It's like this, it's hard to describe. It's kind of an underlaying.
You just know it. Like you have
can tell.
Even though it's tough, you have a defined palate for it a little bit. You kind of could be like, I think it's this.
I drink a lot of whiskey. So when I'm doing blind tastings, I usually can, not all the time. It's really hard to do blind tastings, but I can get a sense of at least what distillery it's made at, versus
like Buffalo Trace, you wouldn't know if it was Blanton's or would you, or Pappy or Weller, right?
Yeah, single barrels are the worst. You can't. Yeah. It's so hard, But not the worst. They're the best.
Yes,
but they're the
worst
hardest
to try to pick.
do. Yeah, blind tasting. This is lovely. This is a great pick.
It is?
When people ask me, they're always like, what whiskey should I get next? What brand? I'm trying to find a gift for somebody that is rare. The easiest and the best thing you could get somebody is a barrel pick because they're all different. They're all special. And once these bottles are gone from that pick, that's it. You'll never have it again.
That's why we did it. I mean, it was, the reality is, that's expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 11 or 12 grand
to
get this barrel. And it's like, here we go. You get to make money on it, though. We don't. It's like, here, Molly, here's a gift. But it was special to us because we don't like doing anything normal.
Right. Good.
We don't like doing anything the way anybody else does it.
You're putting yourself out there and adding character to the world.
Right. Yeah, we are.
You're letting your freak flag fly.
We are. I tell you what. Ask everybody in real estate, and they know we do. We were talking the other day that inside this company, I'm an antagonist about everything with people. I just am. I could not even believe it, but I'm just going to counter them to everything they believe. Because I just think we should just have an open mind. But
yeah,
and a lot of people don't like this, but I'm that registered independent and all this stuff. I'm just somebody when it comes to, I grew up really religious. I'm not anymore. But I have all these experiences, and I'm trying to in my life get to this place where I respect everyone for what they believe and who they are.
Amen.
As long as you treat people well.
Yep.
And we care about each other.
And you're not hurting anyone.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? And so I just wish that, I've been thinking a ton over the past couple weeks that when I was growing up, so I was born in 79, I'm 42, and grew up humble means, Boone County, but I wouldn't have done it any other way.
Right.
Great mom, not so good dad, but we didn't talk about what religion you were.
Right.
We didn't talk about what your political affiliation was. We didn't talk about that. We all treated each other and judged each other based upon how you treated others.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And the good things you were doing in the world. Man, I just hope that as a society that we can get back there.
Agreed.
I really, really do.
I really do, too.
I was thinking the other night, we have a lot of people doing a lot of great things in this company.
Yeah.
And in the company of 140 people, there's every political affiliation, every religion, and if I had to pick who I liked or didn't like based upon those, I wouldn't be allowed to like anybody.
Right.
It's just weird. So I really hope we get back to this place that if we just treat each other really well,
we'll get there.
Yeah, I think so.
I hope
right?
so.
It starts with us just going out and doing good things.
It's up to each one of you individually, and you are responsible for yourself and your children.
Right.
Until they're going, but you should teach them
yes.
to be open-minded.
Yes.
I think
on my social media and all that on Facebook, under the religious thing, it says always searching for a greater understanding, and that insults everyone. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, come on, guys! I'm trying to have this open mind where it says, come teach me something new.
Right.
Let me learn. Right.
Yeah.
Let me learn. Let me grow.
Let me see what you're all about.
100%. Be a good person, and maybe I'll like that thing you're doing. So, spirits of the world. This is interesting. I didn't know we were going to talk about history and spirits and.
It's my jam.
Okay, so let's talk about it. So you're talking about your jam. We've been old friends. We've known each other for 30 years. We're complaining about the pandemic. We're having bourbon. Molly, what's the most amazing historical thing about spirits that you love?
Well, that you can learn the history of the world through them. You read about vodka, you learn about Russia, you learn about Poland. It's pretty neat, and that turns into when you learn about where some of the brands came from and how the laws were changed around that. You learn about Moscow and the royal Russian royal family and stuff.
The Romanovs and stuff, right?
Yeah. It's really.
We'll go here.
The Russian Revolution.
Yeah, wasn't that what kicked off World War I? Pretty much. 1918, 15. No.
In a nutshell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody knocked off.
Yeah.
The
Franz Ferdinand.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that had a lot to do. It's just. When you dig into that, you learn about what was happening. It's
fascinating.
It really is. You learn about gin. Gin's been around since, the 1500s. And from the Netherlands and Germany. And then how it became so popular in London, England.
How did it?
Well, when you have all these different countries starting to explore the world, they build boats strong enough to go and explore far away places, and they are.
Was it exchanged in trade?
Yeah, a lot of it. Well, and it was not exchanged in trade so much, but it was influence. You have the Dutch and the Germans coming to England and influencing a lot of English people for this. And then, different wars were fought with different countries, and, those traditions were then
carried over into these new countries.
Right.
So
they were shared.
Yeah.
They were shared. And then, for example, Dutch courage. You have these Dutch soldiers drinking shots of Geneva, which is Dutch gin.
Yeah.
And you're fighting next to a bunch of Englishmen, and the Englishmen are like, oh, let me try that. That's really cool. Having the open-mindedness enough to be like, I want to fight like the Dutch. And then, drinking that and creating a taste for it. And then things changed with in the power. You had William William III come into power from the Netherlands and rule England with his wife Mary. They kicked out King James, and
Is that
boom.
William the Conqueror?
He was William of Orange.
Okay. We're honoring him today. Orange.
Right, exactly. Yeah. He'd be so proud.
He would be, wouldn't he? Those crazy, whatever they are, Dutch, English, melting pot people in that new world.
Right. But, with that and some of his advisors and coming in, and then also the creation of different kind of guilds and different organizations that made it easy for people to make gin, everyone to make gin, that kind of was a downfall and created the gin craze, which was a very bad thing. Anyway, we're getting off.
So gin, but these things, that's wild.
I know
that they were they were geographically. So is that where wine? Was that?
So Italy, a lot of liqueurs came from Italy.
Like limoncello and different.
Yeah, liqueurs, maraschino. What is it? I'm blanking right now.
I've never heard that term in my life.
Maraschino?
No, I know I'm supposed to. Is that like of the alphabet? It's like B. It's like Mark, come on. Come on. That's like when you first learn the alphabet.
No, it's okay. It's a cherry liqueur,
That tastes so good, I bet.
Oh my gosh,
that tastes.
your button.
You see the button, like me. I'm telling you right now. Hey, we're not even a half a pour into this, and we're already gonna be on the ground.
Like, I'm not gonna burp into the microphone. I'm gonna hit the button, as Mike said.
Hey,
hit the button.
Listen, you cannot be as bad. The founder of that headwear company, Lids.
Yeah.
So he lives in Missouri. He drove in for the podcast a few weeks ago, Mike. And I'm not kidding you. He did the opposite. When he was trying to talk, he'd hold the button down, and when he had to burp, he'd just burp. It was a disaster. Glenn, if you're listening, man, I'm sorry, but it's just how it was.
It's okay.
So where do you think, how as I don't know, as humans, we're always trying to track like where we really came from.
Right.
Like what part of Africa and who, and then Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. Where was the beginning? What was the beginning of spirits?
That is a hard question. So Middle East and China, I believe.
Okay, kind of where everything. Mesopotamia.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You had wine and beer fermenting, and fermented anything that fermented, and you could drink it and you could feel good, right?
Yep.
It wasn't until you had some alchemists playing around with their own stills and learning how vapors work, and learning how to use a still, and so that you could separate things from other things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. When do you think that happened? Do we know?
That's going to be probably around the 10th to the 13th century.
Wow.
And I don't think anybody could really pinpoint it.
But somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Based upon probably the type of jars and different things that they would find in archaeology.
But it was alchemists, and a lot of alchemists were separating, you taking wine and putting it into a still and adding heat, and separating the alcohol from, the wine, and trying to make gold. What was great about this is what they found is that, bacteria couldn't live in alcohol, right? And so this meant that you could drink it and you couldn't get sick. And it was used for medicinal purposes, and it was something that would kind of keep help.
We still use it for that.
I still use it for medicinal use.
Sorry,
but they called it the water of life. Aqua vitae, ishkabaha. Water of life, and so.
That sounds like something that would come from Turkey. However, you just said that.
Ishkabaha would be Gaelic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Scottish and Gaelic.
Oh, wow.
For
Okay.
whiskey.
Okay.
Ishkabaha.
Yeah.
And everybody says it different. Everyone says it different.
Okay.
I say Ishkabaha, but everybody pronounces it. You know how people are.
Yes,
I have a Cincinnati accent.
Hey, so when are you going to do the thing? So what makes Japs special?
Oh, Japs is so special.
Yeah, because so here's, I've never been there.
Oh, shut up.
Okay.
Okay, I'm leaving.
You have a new opportunity to indoctrinate someone who hasn't been to the establishment.
Well, after this year, I hopefully am not going anywhere, you know.
Right.
So, but Jabs is really special, I think. So I have this love for Cincinnati history more than anything else. I mean, to know Cincinnati history, you have to know the history of the world, really, because so many people from all over the world have come here, but mostly Germans, mostly Irish, and of course some Italian, and just every kind of person, you know. So I love how our city has grown, and then to have a piece of that history and be able to be the caretaker of it and to keep it going in a way that we could use it today.
Because Jap started when?
Jap started in 1879 as a wig and hair store. It was a wig and hair store. It was started by a guy named John G. Jap, who came from Germany. And he came here, and he first went up to Chicago, and he started a construction company after the Great Fire and helped to rebuild a lot of Chicago.
Sounds like an entrepreneur.
Somebody I'm very, very inspired by.
Yes, okay.
He went to Texas after Texas first became a state, did some things there. And then he went to St. Louis, and he got himself a beautiful wife. Mm-hmm. And then he moved to Cincinnati. And he started a toiletry and perfume company.
Is that from the P&G thing of soap and all that? No, didn't have anything to do with it.
I don't think so. I think they were really well established by the 18th,
Okay.
or not really, but they were established by the. Okay. And there was enough soap and things going on already. You know, I don't know where that came from. I wish there's still some Jap family members, descendants who live here. But I never thought to ask that question of why did he come up with this?
Sorry.
Leave
it to my curious mind.
I would be curious. It makes me curious as well. So I would love to know why. But you never know. I mean,
Mike Boy, write that down. We might be able to help with something.
I'm telling you.
John J. Jap, is that it?
John G. Jap.
John G. Jap. What's the G?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I have a picture of him though in my phone.
Okay. We're gonna find it. So when did he come here? Was it 1869 or earlier?
Probably about 1870s, I'd say.
Okay.
And then started this company in 1879. And the building that we're in was the building where he had his wig and hair store. And he also made his own hair tonics and shampoos and color and everything. Wow. Apparently there was a lot of places, there were companies in Cincinnati making hair color. Didn't know that was a big thing, but I'm surprised every day, No,
but that does seem weird because it seems like, I don't know, if you look back in the country in 19 whatever, like when did makeup become a popular thing? It seems like he was before that.
Well, I don't think he was making makeup. I think cosmetics were completely different.
What was the hair color for?
The hair color was for coloring hair for sure, but I don't think he wasn't doing cosmetics. He was doing.
But it just seemed like they would go hand in hand to me.
Right, I know now.
Right? It's like, who's going to color your hair unless you're trying to make it not gray?
Right.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Sorry, my curious mind just gets the best of me.
I think it's fascinating. See, this is why people need to put themselves into the world.
Yes.
Because it opens your mind to find out more.
Yeah, I always do. I think, I don't know. I remember when I was 12, one of the weird, really defining things in my life happened. And I was watching a couple older guys that were neighbors to us, and they were really nice, and they always would let me hang around. I think they were both retired railroad workers. And they were building a deck one time. And I must have been curious there because I kept asking him everything they were doing. And he snapped at me after about 15 minutes and yelled. And I took it really personal. And I didn't ask him about another question for 6 months. But that curious mind must have been there. Yeah, he yelled at me like, if you ask me one more time, I'm like, well, give me 6 months. I will.
People are thinking.
Yes, all the time. Yeah. So Jap, so it is. Look at her. She's brilliant.
I'm doing that button.
The experts told us that we should. So you've had it for 10 years. So what was the building and the business before you?
So it was a wig and hair store from 1879 all the way to 1985. So a very long time. So John G. Jap died in 1937. And he had a house up in Clifton, near not on
Gas
Ludlow
Lamp
Street,
or something.
but yeah, the Gaslight District.
Gaslight.
And the house is still there. I've met the people who live in it now. They're super nice.
Yes.
But when he died, he passed it on to a family member. And then it's been passed on to family member to family member. All the way till 1985. And I guess that last guy, he sold it to a guy named Bob Schwartz. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. And he had it for a really long time. He found everything intact, though. Everything was still in the wig store. Like, there were boxes and boxes and boxes of hair. Like, people would come and sell their hair.
Okay, I was going to say, this is real hair.
Yeah, it's all real hair.
Yeah.
In fact, I have people who come and they're like, oh, I found my grandma's wig, and it's from Japs, and it's in the same box, so we want to give it to you. So they give me their grandma's hair.
Okay.
Which I'm like, oh,
you know, you act like you're appreciative. You do. Let me go get you let me go get you a drink for that. I'm gonna create a drink. What was your grandma's name?
I do this. That's exactly what I do.
Yeah, I know you do. Of course you're going to.
I am very grateful that they thought of that.
Yeah.
That it was, even though I'm kind of grossed out by hair.
I mean, from 100 years ago, who wouldn't be?
I could never be a hairdresser.
Could you imagine if somebody walked in your bar and there's just like a couple and they're like, "What is this?" Well, I brought my fingernails from 50 years ago. It's the same thing.
It's really sweet. And, they cleaned the hair and they took care of it and stuff. But still, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this hair? But that's really nice. I mean, for a long time, I would put it in the window. And then I thought, I didn't even think that there's been hair in that window for like, almost over 100 years. And I would think, oh, my gosh, the sun's so hot. It's going to burn that hair. I'm going to burn down over the run. So I would have to take it out.
How fun is it probably hanging out at Japs, huh? If you really get to know them and you're one of their people, the stuff that gets talked about in there, I can only imagine.
It is insane. Anyway, but yeah, so he would sell but he found boxes and boxes of hair in the basement. And he tells the story, like Bob would come in all the time and he would drink Booker's bourbon, so it's a good taste. And
we don't have Booker's.
he would tell me it's really hard to find right now. So if you find it, get your hands
and call
on
you.
it. And call me, and I'll come back for another drink. But he said he's ended up selling the hair. His son worked in New York on the Broadway show Cats in the 80s. Wow. And he sold the hair to the Broadway show Cats and pretty much made enough money to pay for the building. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I love that story. I don't even know if it's true, but I love that story.
It sure sounds good enough.
Yeah.
Is he capable of maybe not telling a true story?
Well, anybody is after drinking a bunch of Bookers.
But it sounds legit, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I love it. I love Bob. I think he's so cool. Anyway, it was a bar in the 1990s. Okay. And then it closed in the early 2000s after the riots and everything. And then I came back in 2008 from San Francisco.
Yep, we're going to go there. We're going to find out what.
I love San Francisco.
It's like, what did that 12 years do for you?
And then I opened a bar in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that your first bar that you opened when you...
Mm-hmm. I mean, I worked at Neon's, and then I became an owner of Neon's as well.
Okay.
Because it was the same owners who I partnered with. And then we re-rose Neon's up to what it was. I
mean, for me, not being someone who, it's unique that we're sitting here talking because all I do is work. Okay. But that's what you do too. Yeah, and so your work just happens to be
in the bar all the time.
Mine's just not. And so I go to the bar and buy drinks for my people.
Yeah.
I just don't drink much. And it's just one of my things. So tell me this. Every time I drink, my hands and my feet swell up.
Oh, I understand that.
See it?
Yeah.
What is that? Is that blood pressure issues? What is that?
Everybody's different.
There you go. Just like a bourbon, just like a fine.
That just means you're special.
That's what it is. So this Neon's thing too. We'll get back to Japs, but that was a brand, that was a destination.
It was.
What was that? So I was in there twice.
It was a so Neon started in the 1990s with a guy named Terry, a very eccentric man. Very eccentric guy, but loved to collect old things and everything. And he created Neons with this in this very old building. I can't remember what Neons used to be. I cannot remember.
It was cool walking in there. That place was cool.
Yeah, he took like the parking lot next door and he turned it into this incredible beer garden. And we called it OTR's backyard. Yeah. And so when I started there in 2009. And the guys who opened it, they weren't bartenders. They were just people who lived in the neighborhood who really wanted a place for people to gather. Yeah. And so when I came on and put it to where
100%. Listen, there's nothing. I think this world. You know what, Molly and the Marks and whoever. Listen, if you accomplish big things, you make impacts. you don't need to be braggadocious about it, but you just acknowledge them.
Yeah.
Like here's the reality.
Yeah.
That from everything I've researched and I know, neons became what it was because your vision.
Well, not just my
Okay.
vision, but it was really the people who worked behind that bar.
But you inspired them.
They were incredible they were great bartenders. I never seen a group of people be able to handle a crowd every single day like they did. And there were some days where, they might have drank a little too much.
Sure.
But for the most, they were incredible.
You may have to.
Well, yeah.
To deal with the crowd, listen.
You know what? I allow my bartenders to drink. They're not allowed to get drunk.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're an adult. You should know your limit. And if you don't, then you shouldn't be a bartender.
100%.
So, believe me, I've been a bartender for a long time, in this industry for a long time, there are times you really do need something to calm everything down because you're
and maybe to connect with the customers and
right.
where they're at and what they're going through.
Exactly.
But
yeah, I have that rule. If I think that you're drunk, you're out completely. So watch it.
Yeah.
But you can have a drink here and there if you need to have a drink with a customer or you need something to calm you down. Yes. Right now we're all older at Japs, and we don't do shots.
So if somebody buys you a shot, what do you do? So if I came in and I'm like, shots for everyone working here tonight.
It depends. There's some days where I'll be like, okay, I'll have a little shot, and I might make it smaller, or I might just do a water shot or something. But my bartenders and I, we have teeny tiny teenies. They're like little tiny martinis. We have those, and we sip them.
How good is that?
It's fantastic. And it's I don't know, it's a weird thing, but we have teeny tiny teenies when we're after we've had like a rush.
Yes.
Be like, all right, I think it's teeny tiny time.
See, you know what? I don't even think it's probably not even about the teeny tiny. It's about this thing. Like when people find their thing.
Yeah.
Like it's the excitement of it. It's something about this piece of what you do, and it's part of your culture with everyone.
Right.
Yeah. Because you could drink anything.
Yeah. And we try, working in a bar like Japs, we do try every single thing on the back of the bar. I do. I need to make sure it's good. I need to make sure I know what to do with it. I'm not going to bring something in if I don't know how to do with it. We're not there to look at the stuff. We're there to use it and serve it and, turn people on
to sell it.
Yeah. That's
right?
how I'm making the living.
You all are, I think you're some of the best salespeople in this world.
Thank you. I do always say that we're not order takers, we're salespeople.
100%. Well, here's the thing. If you're successful, you're a salesperson, probably.
Right.
You're an order taker, you're probably not going to succeed.
Right. If you want to be an order taker, work at a place where, work at a grocery store, work at McDonald's.
Work at a chain restaurant.
Right, a chain restaurant.
Chain
exactly.
restaurant.
Something where they,
It's on the menu.
Right.
They just want a whatever light, or just give me one of the 5 that you have all the time.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to come in. It's going to be that little blackberry, whatever thing you call it. That's fine.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic.
Yep. It's okay for sanity. Like you might on a Wednesday night, you might need to know that I'm going to go to that local place I always go to, and I'm going to get that one drink, like my coffee shop, right?
Yeah.
I walk in there like, hey, you want your spooky ghost? You don't know what that is, but I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
There are so many days where I wish I was or when I'm super tired, I've been at the bar all day setting up or making syrups or, meeting with different people. But by the time I'm ready to work at 4:00, I wish I could just be an order taker. Like, what could I get you? But I know that's not what I've created, so I know I need to be like, okay, I'm going to make you this special drink, and here's why, and here's what it's all about.
Does that get you going?
Honestly, yeah. It's been. I was just talking to my manager today about since we've kind of had to be order takers. We have an app that people have to order off of in a menu. We've had to do that for COVID. And also a lot of people don't realize that I've really had to shrink my budget when it comes to ordering different spirits and different things, to make different cocktails that I could just make on the fly. So in order to keep the budget right, I've had to, make the menu so it wouldn't, it's all there, you know.
So talking to the manager today.
Yeah, so I was talking to her today, and I'm like, you know what? It's starting to get busier. I think we can start bringing some other things in. I'm going to change up the menu. I really want to also get to the point where we're making drinks for people again. We're selling drinks again. I am so sick of taking orders. Some days it's great, when we're really busy and I only have 2 bartenders because I can't find enough people to work. It's great. It's really just makes things go smoother. People get their drinks quicker and everything. But I miss that interaction and that creating that experience for people when they come to Japs.
Yeah. I bet on those days, because we all have days where you're just dragging. We just have them.
Oh God, all the time.
And when you go in, there's got to be something that gets you going. And
yeah, it really is the customers that come in, and when they're just open.
One good smile and one good interaction with someone, right?
Yeah.
And one good hey, it's great to see you, or someone's energy strikes you.
Right.
And you're like, man, there it is.
I love that. When somebody comes in and says, I'm so excited to be here. And, with COVID and everything, and I, when I seat them down and they're like, this is a great seat, thank you. And I tell them how to order, off the app and everything. And they're like, that is so great, so easy. I can't wait to look at it, and there's no trouble. That's been my favorite. But I really do miss those times when I'm like, I have the most special drink. I need you to try this. You're going to love it.
I can't wait for this, Mike. Hey, so what happens? What are we supposed to do as a customer?
So it depends on what bar you're at.
Okay. We go to Japs.
You go to Japs.
What am I supposed to do?
So with non-COVID times?
Yeah. Well, so let's say September, October, which I think we're...
Yeah. I know. I can't wait.
I think it's kind of... I don't know whatever, but that's kind of my opinion.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
You come in. You sit down at the bar. I ask you if you're thirsty, and your answer is always going to be yes, because you're in a bar. Of course you're thirsty.
I'm going to mess with them now, Mike. Okay, so, yes.
And then...
we are so thirsty, Molly.
Okay, good. And I'll say, what kind of liquor do you feel like drinking? What kind of spirit?
Mike, what type of spirit do we feel like drinking? Oh, I know what he's going to say.
Or if you can't think of what spirit you want, what do you normally drink what's your go-to drink when you go into any bar?
Grab the mic, man. So, Mike Boyd, you guys, wonderful producer in town. I say the best. Every time I say the best, he's like, because I'm the only one in the room right now.
I like a whiskey sour.
Ooh, I love making whiskey sours. So I'd be like, okay, I'm going to make you something that you might not have had before, but kind of has those same kind of flavors. You know what I'd make? Because I love classic cocktails. That's kind of our thing at Japs. Cocktails from the 1700s and 1950s. All right. And so I always have a bunch of old cocktails always stuck in my head. It's a great place to be. Let me tell you. So my first thought is, okay, I'm going to make you a drink you've never had before that kind of has those sour flavors to it, but it's different. It's something new for you to like. Okay.
Is he allowed to ask more questions? Or just shut up then.
You can ask more questions.
Mike, go ahead.
I don't need to ask any more questions.
Yeah.
Oh,
people really don't.
I'm listening.
So I'm going to make you a drink called an Alabazam, which is a cocktail from like the 1870s. And it is actually not made with whiskey, but it's made with brandy.
Ooh, I like it.
I do too. I love brandy. And a lot of old cocktails use brandy, but a lot of bartenders today, like today's cocktails, don't really know what to do with brandy. It's not something that's like people just buy off the shelf all the time and make cocktails with, They're buying brandy or cognac. They're just usually sipping it or...
brandy's fruity, right?
It kind of has a bit of fruitiness to it, but it's an aged spirit. Okay. So just like bourbon, you have those caramels and vanillas that come through. But the Alabazam is a sour, so it's going to be a good brandy. I like to use good American brandy. I use Copper and Kings, which is made down in Louisville. Fantastic American brandy.
Do you know that, Mike Wood?
No.
Okay.
Well, if you're ever in Louisville, they're right in Butchertown, and you got to go visit them. Tell them I sent you.
Yes.
They're super cool, super cool. And then it has fresh lemon, triple sec, and then just a dash of bitters, just to kind of bring out some more of those kind of spicy undertones that you would find in that brandy that make it really interesting.
I love it. Let's try it.
Super good. It's
Look
super
at
good.
him. Hey,
Might get Japs later.
Yeah, well, here we go. Hey, tomorrow night we got the people coming in.
I will be there.
Hey, so as your, do you explain to them what you're gonna make, or do you just make it?
I'll be like, do you trust me? And most people say, yeah. And I say, if you get it, you taste it, you don't like it, or it's not to your taste, just give it back to me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. It's not my recipe. It's the recipe from the 1870s,
Yeah.
for goodness sake. And then I'll make you something else. We'll talk a little, I'll ask a little more questions. We'll find something that's to your taste. But my goal, and if I can't find anything, I'm just going to make you the best whiskey sour you've ever had. I promise.
That's incredible.
I love it.
How often do people do this?
Very, very rare. Thank goodness.
I know, right? Right?
I wouldn't be where I am now. I'm practiced,
I hate my job.
Thank goodness. That would suck so bad.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
So this San Francisco experience that you had, 12 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I'd be there for 6 months.
Okay. Talk to us about San Francisco.
So I went there. My best friend was going to school out there. And I went out on vacation to visit her. It was crazy. I've never been anywhere before by myself. I was 21 years old, maybe. Yeah. And so I just got on a plane and I went there for a week. I only brought $200 with me, thinking that would be This was like, what was 20? That was
90 what?
94, I think.
Okay, but listen, $200 in San Fran 94 still did.
It did not last
How'd
a
this
lot.
go?
I had to budget a lot.
Western
Anyway.
Union, mom and dad.
I know. I was like, what was I thinking? Anyway, I had no idea. I was very young. And then I went there, and while I was there, one of her roommates announced that they were moving out of the house, and she's like, well, you should move here. And I was like, why not? I have nothing going for me. And, I'm 21 years old. I might as well. So went home, quit my job, packed up all my clothes. I always sewed, so I had my sewing machine and my cats. And I just got a one-way ticket to San Francisco and moved there thinking, let's just check this out and see what happens. So it was great. I ended up working in high-end retail. I always wanted to be a fashion designer when I was a little girl.
Okay, so is that the thing?
I did.
Okay.
Well, I don't mean...
Like you just had, you open up magazines and always going through
I
them.
had a subscription to Vogue when I was 7.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was learning to sew by the time I was 7. And all I wanted to do was be
Did you draw?
Oh my gosh, all the time. I had notebooks full of fashion. I would watch old movies. I love old movies. I watched TCM, Turner Classic Movies.
Yeah.
All the time. One, because it doesn't have commercials.
Mm-hmm.
There's no news.
Yes.
And it's just old movies where nobody cusses, nobody dies, or you don't see them
why
die.
do me and you cuss so much then?
I don't know, because I work in a bar.
Why do I then?
At one point I was like, I'm going to open a bar called the Sailor Bar where everybody cusses the whole time. And, the bartenders just say, what the hell do you want? Or what the fuck do you want?
Yes. So why hasn't it happened?
I don't know. I still have time. So,
okay, good. Maybe at your next thing.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I worked for Chanel at the boutique, and it was fantastic. I was scared to death. I have no idea how I got that job. I was a little punk rocker from Cincinnati in
Is
my 20s.
that how you dressed and what you... how'd you get the job?
I have no idea.
Did you know anybody?
No. Because in those days, it wasn't like they had Craigslist. They had, I was looking in the paper, the San Francisco Chronicle, and there was, salesperson wanted at the Chanel boutique. And I'm like, I'll just try. And I went for an interview, and the interview went great. And I was like, there's no way they're going to take a girl straight off the boat from Cincinnati with no experience except for Pier 1 imports,
So here's the thing. Looking back as a business owner now, why did they?
I think my personality had a lot to do with it. And I wasn't a shark like, the very experienced, full commission, high-end retail people that they normally get. I think it was just a fresh face, And I always had like a determination to like learn and very open and, I took well to explanation.
Yes. Yeah.
And learning and doing the job right, And I was just really good with people. I always was good with people. Always.
I
Great
bet
customer service.
I bet from a little girl you were.
I think so.
Right?
Probably, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who would just talk to people.
Yeah. Very interested in people and who they were and why they did things. I was always like, why? But why? Like you asking your neighbor,
Yep.
I would have been one yelled at too. Like, don't ask me another
Yeah.
question.
And it only took me 6 months to recover from that, so that's okay. It was a good lesson to learn because the next time somebody did to me, it probably took me just 2 weeks not to say it, and then eventually I just didn't care.
Right.
So were you at Chanel for 12 years?
No, gosh, no.
Okay.
No, just a few years, and then I worked for Prada.
Okay.
And I was their shoe specialist. I was the shoe manager at at Chanel, and then then I started working at Prada, and I was their shoe specialist there. So I learned a lot about shoes. I also made a lot of great networking connections with a lot of the other high-end shoe stores and shoe departments throughout Union Square. And
what a cool place.
It was so fun. I became very passionate about shoes. Oh my gosh, I have the best shoe collection
ever.
I think so. I love my shoe collection. But I learned a lot about like how shoes fit, what you should look for, what makes them high end, what makes them crappy, what to look for. And I loved it. But then working in high end retail, I had a crazy thing happen, which I don't know if I want to talk about.
You don't have to if you don't want. Maybe next time.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then I just realized I didn't want to be in high end retail anymore. Why don't you there's so many people who have so much money, and they just, why would you buy $900 shoes instead of doing something good?
Did you have a moment where you just didn't feel like you were making a difference? What am I doing?
Right. I wasn't making a difference at all, and I wasn't, all the dreams of me being a fashion designer and then understand, I worked at fashion shows and, in San Francisco and stuff. And it just wasn't what I had imagined, I don't know. It just wasn't for me. So I ended up actually putting myself through school to become a jewelry designer. And I learned how to be a jeweler. I went through the Revere Academy of Jewelry Arts and took every symposium, every class that I could get my hands on. Learned metalsmithing,
gemologist,
casting.
all that stuff.
I wanted to get into gemology. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, but so by that time, it was 2001, and everything happened. And so instead of going on to be a gemologist, my cousin was a gemologist, and I could have gone to Carlsbad and went to GIA or GIA, whatever, Gemological Institute of America, GIA, yeah. But after 9/11, everything changed again. So the world changed. Even if you wanted to become an entrepreneur, it was really hard, especially in that industry, trying to get precious metals and precious stones and stuff like that. It was really hard and very expensive.
Yeah.
So I graduated, did an apprenticeship for a year under a master jeweler, Baskin Tanelian. He was this great Armenian. Wow. He was awesome. I loved it.
We have our so cool. One of our recruiters here is Armenian.
Oh,
yep. His dad's Armenian. Yeah. He talks about it. We talk about the whole history of the genocide, just a lot of things.
So yeah, he talked a lot about that as well, the history of all of that. I had no idea. When I was in San Francisco, I had no idea what Armenia was. And
where it was,
I learned so much out there, about different people.
It's wild, isn't it? The cultures.
Yeah, it's a very European American city, very open,
it's different,
nothing. After living in San Francisco, nothing surprises me anymore. Somebody walking down the street naked, I'm like, okay,
whatever. Oh, good. I was right before the last place that I went before COVID shut down was San Francisco. We were there for a national conference in November of 19.
Wow.
And stayed at Union Square. Stayed at the hotel around the square. And
Did you stay at the St. Francis?
No, sorry. Wait, what's the other hotel right on the square?
There's St. Francis, which is right there. It faces it.
It faces it too. Is it the?
It's not.
It was an Omni. It was an Omni now.
Okay. The Omni's right there.
It was.
Yep. It's right at
sorry.
Catacording.
I wouldn't have known about. I wouldn't have known about the Francis.
I can't believe I still remember about San Francisco where things are.
So that right there is the district. That's That's it.
Yeah, I loved working in that district. I thought I could walk there. It took about 45 minutes for me to walk there, but it was I never had a car in San Francisco. It was so easy to get around. It's just so open and just so there was a peacefulness there. It was cool. But after a while, I got after I finished my apprenticeship, I started working for a wedding dress designer. Sold wedding dresses and made wedding dress embellishments, tiaras and jewelry for brides. So I got a taste of the bridal world, which I don't think I ever.
It's a whole nother ball game, right?
Very special.
Very special.
Yeah, I think I learned a lot from there too.
I have the best one. I have the best wedding story from an old friend.
You know what? I love and hate weddings. I love and hate them. I like unique weddings.
Oh, this was unique.
Molly,
this was so unique.
What was it? Now
So it was in the Hall of Mirrors, which is beautiful
I love
downtown.
That place, yeah. Love them.
Let me tell you how the night ended. Man, I can't say names. So they're not married anymore.
Okay.
It lasted 11 months. It's one of those that everybody knew they should have gotten married.
Yeah.
And
except for them at the time.
They kind of knew it, but I don't even know what happened. So we get on the elevator to go up to wherever the reception was. So we went from the hall there at the hotel.
Yeah.
So we get on the elevator, and he's supposed to be going to their room with her. And we're carrying the party to a whole nother room.
Oh, no.
And so he's coming partying with us. And she's like, they're both drunk, like, no.
Yeah, right.
And so
not tonight.
He looked at her. There's about 10 of us in this elevator, 10 or 12. He looked at her and said, "Oh, I sure didn't know on my wedding night that you were already going to be a bridezilla."
Oh, my God. Well, that wasn't the right thing to say.
He came to our room and partied with us. So that didn't go over well. Nothing we're proud of. So do you need more bourbon or no?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
So I think I have I figured out something here about Molly. There's something really that makes you special. And you become very passionate about what you choose to do.
Yeah, I do.
And my opinion is that that's really important in the success of anything that someone does. For real estate, I wasn't passionate about real estate before I started. I don't know how we find these things we do.
I don't either. I wasn't passionate about being a bartender either,
Nope.
so I understand.
It talks about who you are as a person. And, there's a couple really high, I don't know, branded people in the world. Like, they're not even going to know me or call me, but Richard Branson and Warren Buffett and some of these other people. And there's one thing, I respect what they build, but there's something that really frustrates me about what they say. It's really elitist. And they say, you have to find what you're passionate about and then do it. Mm-hmm. It's the wrong advice.
I think so, too.
Pick something, commit to it, and you will find passion
Exactly.
within.
I think you're very much right about that. But I also think you should be proud of what you do.
Yes.
Even if you're like, I think if you have to do something, even if it's you follow a horse and clean up its poop, find some passion in that. Find something good in it, and do the best job you possibly can cleaning up that poop.
That's mindset again, right? But here's what's wild is it turns into greatness within your thing.
Exactly.
It does.
It does.
It turns into Japs. Like this passion that you found around mixing cocktails. That thing, it started, I'm assuming, at Neon's, kind of, right?
Right.
You didn't know it was going to turn into it.
No, I had no idea. I just kind of kept. I wake up
learning.
I wake up every day and I say, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder who I'm going to meet. I wonder what the day will bring and how that's going to change my life. Because you don't know, and you just have to be open to it. You can't be scared of it. You have to be open to it. And I think that's key.
The people around you, I don't know. Like, take the Molly Wellmann reputation and this idea and opinion that people have all these really cool things. You take that away. The people that work for you, you're probably just Molly.
I am.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Yep. Right on. And that Molly to them, I hope they know, and you're going to probably say, I hope they know how special, not just you are, but that experience to be around someone that actually is passionate about the thing you're doing around them. That's the spice of this life. And if we're going to spend so much time professionally working, that's the thing, right? Because, like, man, this is the family we're picking for ourselves when you go to work and you're dealing with your customers. And so this passionate, perseverant, right, just a driven thing that you have always growing, learning, that's an example that people need.
I think it's, we're all human, and it's something that you need to also remind yourself, too. Like, just like today when I was talking to my manager and I said, I think we've gotten off, to just being the order taker. We really need to bring this back, not just for our customers and for, our business, but our customer, but for us.
100%.
It's really important. Like, you're not going to enjoy your job if you don't put your all into it and make it yours.
Right on.
It's really important.
Is there anything, 'cause I think that you're somebody who you're going to find positives and good things in. Is there anything after all of this, like, man, what is going to come out that's good? Like, what of this is, what are we going to learn? Like, right. But what is it?
I think we're, I think back before, last year when everything shut down, we were just kind of going and going and going, just our regular thing. I remember from, myself, I needed to spend more time with people. I needed to make time to spend with my friends and my family and whatnot. And because there would be days where I'd be like, I'm just going to go to work and then I'm going to go home and sit on the couch and look at TikTok, or like
Instagram
look at
or
Facebook or something. I just want to turn off. I don't want to go and socialize or do anything like that. When I had a bunch of my friends saying, hey, stop by after work, or hey, do you want to go out to dinner? And I would make up every excuse in the book to be like, no, I just want to put on comfy clothes and sit at home. After having to do that, being forced to do that, and not being able to see your friends and family, all I want to do is go and hang out with my friends and my family and go to dinner and go have drinks and, socialize and do things. I think there's a lot of people who are going to not take that for granted any longer. One.
Yeah.
I think also business-wise, when we got shut down, I thought I was going to go crazy if I didn't communicate with other people, So with the internet, luckily we have that, and I was able to get on my social media.
5 o'clock tales.
5 o'clock tales, yeah.
Huh?
I was able to go and create something new. 5 o'clock tales, which I've thought about. I've always wanted to have my own TV show, making cocktails and telling the history, and showing people how to do it for their home, for their own, and make it easy and approachable as well. And so this was kind of my push into that.
You might not have ever done it.
I might not have. I probably would have been like, no, I have too much to do. I have too much sitting on the couch after work.
I need my sweatpants.
Right. So I think that
so
a
forced
lot
you to do that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people, especially in our industry, who've learned how to even think outside of the box. When it comes to hospitality and making sure that people have a great experience, even when you're restricted. So I think we're gonna.
This is gonna make you care about people. Maybe the reason that you set out to do all these things.
Yeah.
Like when someone comes in all this time with family and friends.
Yeah.
It may be that maybe you look at the person coming through the door like that again.
Right. Exactly.
Where maybe because of all the hustle and bustle and the rush and so busy, maybe we lost that a little bit.
I think so. I think we've kind of taken some things for granted, which I don't think we're going to take for granted any longer.
For a long time.
For a while, you know? I think more people are going to go out and support events as well, because we've been kind of robbed of it, you know? I think people are going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to put a social calendar together of all these great events that happen in Cincinnati. This year, I'm not going to miss the Taste of Cincinnati or Oktoberfest. I've got to be there.
So what makes our city? So I brought someone, you know how people tend to be homers.
Yeah.
Wherever they're from.
Yeah.
But we do share this thing. So I'm Northern Kentucky. I don't think anybody welcomes or claims me. The rest of the state of Kentucky doesn't claim us. I look out the window and it's downtown right here.
Right.
Cincinnati definitely doesn't claim Northern Kentucky.
Maybe
more and more.
I claim Northern Kentucky.
Just because you had the Kentucky Bourbon Bar. That's the only reason.
Northern Kentucky is really, really important to our area. Really important.
I'm listening. Ears are open. I'm rehabbing a home in Newport right now in the East Row.
It's so important. I mean, look at the history. That was kind of. I always think
about
of
Newport?
Newport.
It was before Las Vegas.
Newport, Covington.
Yes.
That was kind of like you were close enough, but you could, live on the outskirts. It's like Brooklyn, I guess.
Okay, I thought you were going to call us Jersey for about a second.
Gosh, no.
Let me tell you, I would have thrown some bourbon at her.
I would have never done that to you. we're, you guys are the gateway into the South. You're the gateway into bourbon country. I always tell people we're so lucky to live in Cincinnati because we're right down the street. Just south of us, right down the street, is where 95% of all the bourbon is being made,
Yeah.
But northern Kentucky to Cincinnati, it was really important, There
was a lot of things. Think about back in the day with all the supper clubs, the people coming here.
Yeah.
That was crazy, all that stuff.
It was the, we had the biggest bootlegger ever and except for people in Cincinnati, nobody really talks about George Remus.
There you go.
He did a lot of business in northern Kentucky.
And the connection to Chicago and all that stuff, big time, right?
Exactly. He after he got out of jail, he lived the rest of his life in Covington.
Yeah. So where did he live? Do you know?
He lived on, I believe, Greenup Street.
Did he?
Yeah, with his third wife.
So so in Cincinnati, so I brought someone in town last year. Some people are coming again tomorrow, but for an event we have, but from Dallas, and this guy has traveled everywhere. And he really, truly was. We were sitting down. We were having dinner downtown at Ruby's or something.
Yeah.
And he said, dude, this city's cool.
Yeah. Don't you love that?
I do.
It's my favorite thing.
Yep.
I've done a lot of things with on both sides of the river, the visitor and convention bureaus, both in northern Kentucky and Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. And my favorite thing, they'll bring people in, magazines,
articles.
Journalists. That's what I'm trying to find.
Who should we talk to about the city?
Right, exactly. And I get to talk to them, and many of them have never been to Cincinnati. And a lot of them will get off the plane and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to waste my time going to Cincinnati.
Yep.
And they get here, and I just love their eyes get bigger. By the time, they've been taken around, and they finally get to be brought to Japs. And they're like, wow. This is amazing. It's really cool. And I'm like, I know.
What is it? So what do you love about our city?
So I love that we have a history that is so rich that you can touch it and you can be a part of it and you can learn really easily and you can see how it has evolved to us, right? Into us, right? Yes. I love that we are a city of families. We're very family oriented, yet we are well traveled and well educated. I love that.
Unique combination.
Very, very unique. Mm-hmm. We're comfortable here, and we're nice, and we're welcoming. I love that. And I really love. I love the fact that we're fearless in a way.
You think we are?
I think we are.
I feel fearless.
I think that there's some people who would argue that are very conservative, but that's kind of the balance. You know,
right.
We do have a lot of conservative people here who don't like that big change.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, after studying so much about Cincinnati, that has always been that way. We've had the risk takers and the ones who have changed the world,
right.
and gone to the world by still staying here in Cincinnati. P&G,
right. Yes.
Procter & Gamble, Kroger, the big companies that we know. But we still had those ones that are like, no, pump the brakes. I don't think this is a good idea. Mm-hmm. Can I give you an example?
Yes, 100%.
Our streetcar.
Yes.
There's so many people who are like, that's the stupidest thing ever. But there were a lot of people who are like, we need this. It needs to evolve. This same thing happened with something that is we should be really excited that we have right now. You know what that is?
Well, tell me.
The Roebling Bridge.
Let's talk about it.
So many people did not want that Roebling Bridge back in the day, in the 1860s. They thought that that bridge is going to just bankrupt Cincinnati and we're screwed because there's going to be so many people go to northern Kentucky and open businesses.
That's what it is. Everybody's threatened.
Yeah.
Like it's never, they never dig deep if it's a good idea or not.
Right.
Everyone's threatened because it's different than the way they've thought.
Right. Exactly. They're afraid of change.
Yes.
But if we don't change and we don't evolve, we'll never get anywhere. It's really important.
Well, let's get the subway back.
I know. My gosh. Could you imagine if that went through?
Well, this would have been a top 5 city in the country if it used to be.
Hands down.
Right.
If that wouldn't have been stopped.
Yep. It didn't have to do with around World War I and stuff when it was just funds, right? Or no?
I think it was funds, but a lot of that was corrupt politics by Boss Cox, and But we weren't the only city in the country that was going through corruption in the 1870s, 80s, 90s.
It was so close to happening.
I know.
I mean, weren't there cars down there and some of
it's built out.
Man,
I know.
it was so close.
So close.
But me and you wouldn't be here because one little change in the world.
Right, exactly.
One little thing. Somebody
thing.
rode the subway instead of walking down the street and meeting like the person that decided to like do that thing.
Exactly.
So, yeah, this city. So do you buy into this thing about these cocktails of a Graders, a Skyline thing and all that? Do you put together a mixology of a drink that pulls those together?
Yeah, well,
What do you do?
I've made a Skyline Bloody Mary, which I think is pretty darn
What
good.
is that? Tell us
It
this.
just has all the spices that go into our Cincinnati chili.
Okay, good. I was wondering.
It's really good. I think it's really good. As long as you like Cincinnati chili,
You know, people are so screwed up mentally about it when they come to town.
They really are. They're like, I think I like him. I'm not sure.
What do they say? Because you see them all the time.
Oh, yeah.
How's it go?
No, it's just like that. It's like they're always like, that is the best thing ever, or they're like, that is disgusting, or I tried it, but I'm still not sure.
Is the worst thing the cheese on top to them? Like, what is it?
I think it's the spices, and it's on spaghetti. That's weird. But you and I growing up in this area, all of us, all three of us, that's not weird. That's
not weird. It's what we do.
Be.
See, that's the change thing. It's like, you know what? It's only different to you because you feel like it's different than everything that you've done.
My husband, who born and raised, well, he was born here in Cincinnati. He's raised in Massachusetts and came back, but he's a Cincinnati man.
Okay, had to
His
be.
family is all born and raised here
Had
and
to
everything.
be.
Yeah. He cannot, no matter what the chili is, he has to put it on noodles and add cheese to it.
Just has
no
to.
No matter what it is. It doesn't have to be Cincinnati style chili.
If he sits down somewhere and would tell people that at a restaurant, they're like, okay, somebody go ahead and call the cops.
Right.
This guy is officially, he's lost his mind.
He's like, we go to a different city and he orders chili and he's like, can I have a side of spaghetti, please?
Does he really? No, he doesn't. He does
we
not.
haven't gotten that far, but he would because I know him very well.
So, hey, this book that you have here?
Yeah, that's a gift for you.
Okay, thank you. So this is going to go on our shelf. So, handcrafted cocktails.
Yeah.
This is your book.
So I'll tell you something. I am dyslexic as hell.
Are you?
I had the worst time in school, learning. For some reason, my brain doesn't work when it comes to spelling, punctuation, and using the right grammar. But I've actually developed my own way of doing everything, of course, and I think it's perfect. So when I was approached by somebody from F&W Publishing here in Cincinnati, which is no longer around. Okay, and they're like, we want you to write a book, and I was like, write. I don't know how to write. That was the worst thing for me in
to think about. Yeah.
Right. I was like, and I told him that. I was like, oh shoot.
This
sorry.
is so cool.
Empty.
So as you talk about it here, I mean,
yeah.
this is neat though. This is unique. It is unique.
It is unique. I think it is. So
Yeah.
I read a lot of cocktails. I love reading. I love I love writing now. I just write the way I want to. I don't think how we learned in school should dictate exactly how everything should be done all the time.
Listen, I heard something, not to get off track, this is 10 seconds. I heard Gary Vee and somebody else talking about last night. I don't know if it's a PhD, and he said, listen, over the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a reckoning around this education piece. Mm-hmm. Like I said, my significant other, she's in education, highly educated, all that stuff. But there is going to be a reckoning because people are seeing through entrepreneurship and different things that are achieved. I'm not speaking against it because there's some formal education that's really important, right?
Definitely.
But there's so many things that so many people are learning that the foundation wasn't there.
Right. It wasn't there.
The foundation was...
Or your brain works differently.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to force the same type of learning on everyone.
And everybody is different.
They are. We are.
Or it would be so much better if you figured out the person first.
Yes.
And then learned how they learn and then teach them that way.
So this... so when you were writing
anyway,
this...
when I wrote it, so I was like, I don't believe in punctuation and blah, blah, blah. She's like, well, we have people for that. And we need you to get your ideas down on paper, your recipes. We want to do a book. We think it would be great. And I was like, okay, I'll have it finished in 2 weeks because I have notebooks full of stories, full of recipes, full of everything. It took a year.
Was it writer's block?
No, it wasn't writer's block. It was just a lot. Writing a book is different than just writing stuff down in a notebook.
Give me advice because I'm starting.
You have to think of how the reader will read it.
Was the structure important?
Structure is very important. So I had not found, I read a lot of cocktail books, old ones from over 100 years ago. And I never saw one that was made for morning, noon, and night, drinks that you could drink in the morning, like if you're at brunch, drinks for the afternoon, like if you're at a wedding or a baby shower, or just drinking in the afternoon, day drinking, we all do it. And then of course everybody says it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So you have the before dinner drinks, after dinner drinks, and so on and so forth. So this book I wrote that way. And half of them are classic cocktails because that's my love. And half of them are my own cocktails that had been inspired by old cocktails or just flavors or working with the different chefs that I've worked in with the past at different places. Just, things that I've been inspired by. So, and then there's stories because a lot of this was, I wanted to make sure this was a book that you could put on your coffee table. Anybody could enjoy it, even if they don't drink.
100%. It feels like that just from opening it.
Yeah.
It really does. Like, I don't know what it is about even the colors and stuff, but it has brown pages.
Yeah.
There's something
It's
about
sepia.
that that's, there you go. So I bet you get this all the time. How many people want to start a bar?
Oh, gosh. A lot of people. In fact, I've had many, many bartenders that I've taught to bartend who've gone on and opened their own bars and have been extremely successful, and I'm very proud of them. Very proud. If a bartender came to me tomorrow and said, I need to put my 2 weeks in. I'm going to go open a bar. And I'll be like, yay, great. Okay, what do you need? Can I help you with anything? I can give you advice. If you want advice, ask me, and I'd be happy to help you.
So what's the best advice that you have?
Stick to your guns. Do exactly what do exactly what your dream for your bar is. Don't let anybody tell you can't. Unless it's against the law, then of course don't do it. But don't let, when I opened Japs or when I was going to open my own bar, I had a lot of people come, sorry dudes,
Yeah.
who come up to me and say, oh, that's so cute. You're going to open a bar. All right, here's what you need to know.
You're an insulting asshole. Quit talking down to me. I'm a strong woman, and I'll roar, and I'll call your eyes out.
One of my biggest things is I didn't want to have TV in a bar, in my bar, and they'd be like, "You'll never make it. People want to watch sports. You'll never make it if you don't put a TV in your bar." My bar has been rated one of the top 18 bars in the entire country, and it's been open for 10 years, and I've won many, many awards for it. So. Thanks for your advice, but I think I'm doing okay.
I love your drive and your motivation, your determination. Like, you know what? Like, what that guy doesn't know is he might have had like a certain percentage success in your business.
Right.
How many times you think about that, dude?
All the time for some reason.
Yep.
I mean, not all the time.
But-
But when somebody says, I'm so happy you don't have a TV in your bar, that's when I think of him.
That's it. So I think there's these stories. This is an entrepreneur thing. There was someone. So when I started Pivot Realty Group, I was one person.
Yeah.
But I had this vision, and the manager of the real estate company that I worked at the time pretty much laughed in my face and said, "Group, you're one person."
Watch me grow.
I'm just like, just wait. It might take me 13 years, but you wait.
You could be like, I'm a flower, man. I'm gonna grow.
100%.
Not a flower. I'm a
Whatever.
stalk of corn.
Whatever it is, I'm gonna be the best damn flower. Molly Wellmann says I'm a flower. Damn it, I'm gonna be a badass flower. Okay. I can't wait till I roll up into Japs and she's like, "There's a flower boy. Let's get it going for him." Mark, do you trust me? She's gonna take me through all the shit, isn't she? And she's gonna make me the floweriest, tastiest drink ever. And then I'm gonna do this, Mike Boyd. I'm gonna want to do it, but I'm like, nope. I'm gonna have to drink it because I push it back across the bar. It's not gonna work. So the people who want to open a bar, as what you said, it's like this commit and don't quit thing.
Right, and put yourself into it. Don't copy off of everybody else. Make it yours. There's a really great guy who opened a string of bars in Cincinnati. His name's Jacob Trevino. and he worked for me. I remember the first time I met him, I was coming out of OKBB, and I see this like well-dressed guy with this great strut coming down the street with this big smile on his face, and he's like, "Are you Molly Wellmann?" I was like, "That's what they call me, yeah." And he's like, "I've been looking for you," and he just had moved with his wife back to Cincinnati. And he's like, "I want to work for you. I want to learn. I want to, I have this dream. I want to do more in Cincinnati." I was like, "I don't have any room, but I'm going to find something for you." Because his resume was incredible.
Worked in Miami, worked in wherever.
Oh, no, but it just was really
here.
well done. It was just like so professional. And I've never seen a resume that was so perfectly put together.
Refined.
Yeah, and I still have it. I kept it because it was so, I was like, this is the prettiest resume I've ever seen. But it wasn't, when I look at a resume, I hardly look at where people have worked. I look a little bit to see, have they ever worked in a bar, or anything. But I sit down and I start asking questions and
so what would you ask
have
me?
A conversation.
So pivot falls apart. The real estate industry tanks. I make some stupid move and the business is over. And I'm like, you know what? Molly is one of the coolest, badassest people ever that I've ever met in my life. I want to go work for her. I wouldn't look as good as Trevino, and I probably wouldn't have as good of a resume. However, so Molly, it's a dream. I want to learn. I want you to teach me. You're interviewing me.
I would be like, okay, so why do you want to be a bartender?
I don't know. You're special, and you've done an amazing thing, and you impact people's lives. If I can do what you've done by changing people and have fun, I'll sign up for it. Let's go.
Yep. So if you said that to me, I'd be like, okay.
Right.
Not
You're like,
really
not
doing
really.
it for yourself.
Not really.
So yeah. I'd be like, okay, so what do you like about cocktails?
I'd be like, well, I don't drink them much.
See? I'm like, okay, well, what? But if you had to make them for somebody, like, why would you want to make a cocktail for someone?
I like changing people's lives and seeing them smile.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that to you,
no,
right?
But that's a good answer. Yeah. I like that. So I would start asking questions like that.
Yep.
And then the last question I would ask is, do you know how to make a Manhattan?
No.
Well then.
But will you teach me?
I
because
will.
I'll be
That's
the best.
right answer.
Because I'll be the best Manhattan maker you've ever seen.
That's right.
Right?
Cool.
But what about that? So those things that I would say, what about that's like, okay, I can work with that.
I want to see the passion within yourself, and I want to see a passion for wanting to learn more about the job, because it's a lot to learn. And I could teach you how to make drinks, but I can't teach you to have the passion to like want to serve people and create an experience for people. Like with Jacob, all he wanted to do, and he still does today very well. He owns like not Hello Kitty, the karaoke place, Tokyo Kitty,
Yeah.
and he did the Speakeasy, the video archive, which is really cool.
So really cool, yeah.
Like when I was talking to him, that's what he wanted. He wanted to create that experience.
Unique experiences.
Everything he said was like, that is right up my alley as well. That's what I want for people who are working in my bar. And he was great. He was wonderful. He was wanting to learn more. He's still creating those experiences. Even through the COVID, he learned how to figure out the ways to do it. And I think his places are great. I think he's wonderful.
So this passion thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I had two bartenders who went on to open Northside Yacht Club in Northside.
Yes.
And did exactly.
One of him partnered with Jerry's Jug House with Mark in Newport.
Stuart.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So Stuart, they're cousins, I believe.
Yeah, they are.
So Mark,
I love
Mark's
Mark.
one of our top realtors.
Do you
know that?
Do you know Mark dressed up as me for Halloween one year?
Is that what he dressed up as? I saw that.
It scared the crap out of me.
You're like, oh my God.
I was like, Stuart called me. He's like, there's somebody in town you need to meet. You need to go to Jerry's Jug House tonight. I'm like, oh, I wonder who it is. I'm thinking, oh, who do I know? Who's in town?
Molly.
And then I turn around and I walk in and he did it perfectly. The tattoos and the dress and oh my gosh.
It was amazing. I love him. Here's what's crazy.
I do too. He's so cool.
His real estate career is absolutely booming. They're doing the bar thing great.
Yeah.
He rehabs all of his historic properties.
Yeah.
There's this passion thing.
Yep.
It's this
They
thing,
know.
right?
Yeah. Stuart has it too. I mean, he was my first Stuart, his cousin Stuart.
Mm-hmm.
He was my first Padawan. He was the first person. Stuart came to me one day. I only knew him as a rock and roll player, and he's like, I want to learn how to bartend. I'm like, okay, you have to show up. You're not going to be paid.
Yep.
You just have to show up and shadow me like stage, And he did every day, sometimes in snakeskin boots.
For how long? How long did he shadow you for free?
Oh, gosh.
Few weeks?
This was before I had JAPS, and it was a few months he did, and he learned really well. And then we hired, when
Gave
I
him a
got
shift.
JAPS and neons, we got him behind the bar, and he was fantastic. And then he and another bartender went out, and
What makes him special?
he has that drive. He has the personality. He has the want. He doesn't give up. And he's very, very creative in every single experience that he gives his customers.
So they have to come to Molly with that.
Yeah.
You can't create it, can't develop. They have to come to you with it.
We have to come with a great smile, a great personality, and the will to want to create a great experience for people.
You're special. I think it's people like Molly. I truly believe this, that make our city special in the things that you do.
Aw, thank you. That's so sweet.
No, it's fantastic.
One thing I always am thinking, that we are making history.
Yeah.
I read about all these people who created amazing things that made Cincinnati so great for so long. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking that I hope there's some weird girl with blue hair 100 years from now. And she's like, oh my God, have you read about this chick, Molly Wellmann? Let me tell you all about her. So make good history.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's fantastic. So, hey, everybody kind of already knows you. You have like 14 or 15,000 followers on Instagram. Come to JAPS.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the comeback is going to be important to your industry.
Right. I mean,
support you.
What's great now, people are getting their vaccinations, which
Yes.
is great, and they're celebrating at JAPS, and I love that. It's that excitement that are in people's faces when they walk in the door, like, I got my shot, I'm vaccinated, I feel free. That excitement is so, so cool. It really is. And so I think that we're going to start to see more and more people celebrating. I mean, just this weekend, there were so many people out and about.
I felt it. I felt it.
Energy again.
Yes.
We don't want to go back to that again,
Yep.
How last year was. And
come support you. There you go. So everybody come support you. And I think,
please.
I mean, it's going to make us come out. So we're going to have to come out tomorrow night.
Please.
I have a couple folks coming in town.
You know what? Tuesday, I've always worked kind of like the slow nights. I worked Mondays at Neons. I work every Tuesday at JAPS. That's my night. And that's the time where you can come and talk to me. I will create something special for you. It's kind of more of a one-on-one. The weekends are a little hard because I'm running around and I have to, deal with my help my employees, and we have a lot
hustle.
more people. Yeah.
So we're bringing Phoenix and Dallas to Cincy, and he currently loves it, but she hasn't been here before, so
she's gonna be so surprised.
yeah, she's gonna love it. Here's the problem though: you're gonna have to come up with something. She's pregnant.
Oh, I got Pragertinis all over the place.
There you go. So be ready. She's so much fun, and they are.
Cool.
If you take a few months to talk to them, they are some of the most brilliant social media minds now.
I would love. Well,
they're brilliant.
I'd love. I don't want to bother them, but I'd love to pick their brain.
100%. They're fantastic. So Molly Wellmann, you have to give us one way to find you so they can buy your book,
Yes.
probably on Amazon or something.
You can find my book on Amazon.com. It's called Handcrafted Cocktails.
Yep.
It's a mixologist guide for drinks for morning, noon, and night.
Perfect.
And I wrote that in 2013. I'm working on another one about the history of drinking in Cincinnati, which also includes Northern Kentucky. Don't worry. I love Northern Kentucky.
There we go.
But you can find me on my Facebook under Molly Wellmann, or on Instagram, which is much easier to find me. I have a limit on Facebook, but not on
5,000,
Instagram.
right? Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So also Molly Wellmann.
And then are you still doing your cocktail show on YouTube?
I am. So on Facebook and Instagram, every Wednesday after 5 o'clock, I post a classic cocktail that you can learn how to make at home.
And then in turn, they can buy the book, and they're going to have so many more.
Yep.
Thank you for coming, sharing your smile.
Thank you for having me and sharing your whiskey.
Yeah, no, listen, I have to give you that one or a full one. I don't know what I have to give you.
I'll take that one.
Okay,
It's
great.
fine.
But thanks for coming.
No,
And
thank you.
Mike's amazing back here, and
Mike, you are amazing.
yeah,
really.
he's the one.
Thanks
He's
for
the one.
coming in. Thanks for coming in.
Anytime.
He's a wonderful dude. So we're gonna come visit Japs
Please. I have to make him an alabazam.
tomorrow night.
I'm
Tomorrow
coming for
night.
that.
I don't know if you
Done.
can fit in with your workout, but thank you. Keep being amazing. Thanks for being a
Awesome.
part of our special Cincinnati culture.
Thank you.
All right.